Hello everyone and welcome back to another Figurehead Reviews video, and today we are going to be taking the Molten Man wave of Marvel Legends and adding them to my main collection. I do have all the figures posed in the various ways that I want them to be displayed, so enough about that, let's get these figures over on the shelf. So we're back at the MCU display that we saw in the last video. So we had just the various phases sort of organized in the shelves, going down basically through the years, and then taking a look at my somewhat mediocre endgame shelf there that we set up last time. And then just below that, we can see this big empty shelf. That is where I have the space saved for the Far From Home and Black Widow movie, and then whatever else comes out. So let's go ahead and we will add the Far From Home figures to that empty spot. So normally when I do these displays, I do them from back to front, meaning I would have Far From Home in the back and then more than likely the Black Widow in the front. But I don't have the Black Widow wave yet, so I'm just going to get Molten Man here in a good attack pose. Actually, we're going to bring it over a little bit. I don't know, I just don't feel like crowding too much. And we got Spidey sort of in that defensive pose. And then I got the 2-pack MJ that I didn't know what to do with her. I didn't really want to put her in the homecoming display. So I have her sort of in this, defensive, trying not to get hurt pose. And we're going to plop her right behind Spidey. So it kind of looks like Spidey is sort of coming to her defense, which I know is not film accurate. That fight didn't happen, or at least the fight happened, but not with MJ being in distress. And then, boom, we have Mysterio, and of course, Spidey. And, I mean, it's not a crazy setup. That's pretty simple, but it works for now. Eventually, when we do the Black Widow figures, we'll probably change this display up just a little bit. So, all right, moving on. And then moving next door to the MCU collection, and we actually have my classic Toy Biz 5-inch figures from my childhood. These are my actual childhood toys. I have them actually next to the Spider-Man, the X-Men collection that we saw in a previous video, because I like the idea of having them side by side. I think it looks a lot better that way. But that's just me, I guess. I know it kind of breaks it up a little weirdly with the MCU and then the classic Toy Biz. But then we do have some more classic Toy Biz up here. So you get the Fantastic Four, we got Annihilus, and I love the action feature on Mr. Fantastic. That stretch feature, so cool. Sue Storm I actually got recently, probably, 3 or 4 years ago, because I never had the Sue Storm, so I did pick that up. I saw it for like $5 at a Second and Charles. We get some Avengers display there. You get some of the classic anti-heroes, Deathlock, Punisher, and of course the Spider-Man Classics collection, which I can't wait for the retro wave like most of us. And I have some knockoff Lego minifigures. Those are definitely knockoffs. They are not the real Lego minifigures. Those are, I paid like $2-3 each. Not much, so those are pretty cool. But we'll take a look here at the villain shelf for the Toy Biz era. So the Mr. Sinister had a light-up feature in his chest. Unfortunately, that battery has long since died. And some of these figures that I got as a kid, I didn't even know who some of these guys were. I think Captain Ahab was one that I didn't really know too much about, other than he was in the X-Men video game. Or Ahab, not Captain Ahab. And same thing with some of these X-Force figures. I didn't know who some of them were. Do you guys remember these? The little die-cast minifigures that basically look like the sculpt work was pretty much the same as the figure? Like, look at that, the Juggernaut sculpt is basically the same as the Toy Biz Juggernaut figure there, like the bend at the elbow and whatnot. It's practically the same thing, so I don't know if they just base it on that. And then looking at the rest of them, we have just the rest of the X-Force looking pretty good. Deadpool was a recent pickup. I did not have a Deadpool figure as a kid. Let's see, will the camera focus in a little bit? It gets a little wonky when I get too focused in here, but Very cool looking setup, and I love being able to have my classics on display. Oh, and Beast and Rogue were recent pickups too. And I say recent pickups, talking like within the last few years. But the reason that we are here is not to look at the Toy Biz figures, it's to look directly below that. So we have the Spider-Man villain setup down here with the Symbiote Collection, and then just the big wig villains of Spider-Man. This was originally going to be a Sinister Six collection in the front, and then I just started just kind of adding everyone else. But looking real quick at the symbiotes that we have back here, all your classic stuff. So we get a masked and unmasked, both Carnage and Venom. We got Anti-Venom, Scream, Superior Venom. Pork Grind was back there, Agent Venom. I'm going to have the Agent Anti-Venom review up hopefully somewhat soon. I do have that figure. And then down in the front here, just some more Spidey villains. We got the 2-pack Kraven. Definitely want a classic Electro. I think that'll look cool. And then I'll put the other head on that Electro. And then the white variant, Mysterio. I actually think I reviewed him. And I think I reviewed Doc Ock, didn't I? I don't remember. And Rhino, I know he was a pretty sought-after Build-A-Figure. So this is going to be the shelf that we're going to add Scorpion and Hydro Man to. And then just below that, we have one more setup for Spider-Man. So we have the Ultimate Spidey set up in the back there with Ultimate Green Goblin. Got Taskmaster wearing the, the Udon? Is that how it's pronounced? Correct me if I'm wrong. But we got that back there. And then not really sure what I'm doing with the back right here. I just got, Puma, Speed Demon, both Black Cats. Right now they're just kind of holding up space. So I think that's where Doppelganger is going to go. But looking at the front part, this is sort of like the Friends of Spider-Man, I guess, if you want to call it that. But I really like this pose with Bullseye throwing the knives like behind him, and then Daredevil dodging the throw. I don't know why I like that pose. It just kind of seemed like a cool pose. Cloak and Dagger. See, I think what I'm going to do with, now that I got Cloak and Dagger, a Deathlock figure and some other stuff, really just want to set up a Maximum Carnage display, especially now that I got Doppelganger. We just need, what's her face? Shriek? I think in my review of Typhoid Mary, I thought I had mentioned that she was in the Maximum Carnage storyline, because I think I mistook her for Shriek, but yeah, that happens. But we're going to throw Doppelganger back there and take a look at him. And boy, what's going on with the focus there? There we go. So let me go ahead and get the camera steady, and we're going to get Doppelganger and then Scorpion and Hydro Man set up as well. All right, so we have our Hydro Man, and I think he will do quite nicely right next to Sandman. Ironic, right? Yeah, we got a good spot there for him. And then we're going to get Scorpion here. And he's so back heavy with that tail. But this pose should... Oh, whew. Yeah, see, you got to love the dominoes, right? That lizard figure would not have been an easy one to replace. All right, what do we got going on with the legs here? Oh, I'm going to end up causing more havoc than anything. So I think I see what's happening. These legs are kind of loose on Scorpion. They've spread out further than what I originally had them. So yeah, that's not good. And Lizard is going to be a little crooked. There we go. All right, there we go. That's Scorpion and Hydro Man in place. And this shot is going to be so brief, it's hardly even worth shooting, but we're still going to get Doppelganger in place back there with the various Black Cats. Like I say, I want to get that Maximum Carnage display set up. I think that'll look real good. And for our last stop today, we come to the Hobby Lobby Fire Escape Spiderverse Display. So this is going to be the infamous, it was about, what, $40, I think, Hobby Lobby shelf system that they had made. And everybody was going for it. I managed to find one up in Saginaw, Michigan, which is about a 45-minute drive for me. And got it, and it became my Spiderverse display. The backdrop here, the building setup, that is from a guy, has an Etsy store, InstaPrintDioramas. I'll leave a link to his Etsy store. He basically, that is literally just printed on regular old paper and then glued, or I think double-sided taped to a piece of poster board. And it really kind of makes this display pop, in my opinion. I think it really adds a whole layer to it. But checking out the display here, so we have, what we got? We got Ben hanging out back there, Scarlet Spider. We get the SPDR, or the Spider Build-A-Figure. Well, let me get my computer chair out of the way here. There we go. And then Superior Spidey, the Ultimate Spidey. I wanted to do something a little different, so I have a Cricut, and I printed off the Spider Sense effect that you see there. So that is an aftermarket piece, if you will. Homemade, though. Spidey Noir, 6-arm Spidey. I don't know, I just started cramming Spider-Men wherever I could find them. And then for Spider Ham, I actually just hot glued some magnets to the bottom of his feet. And since this shelf is metal, he just sticks right on wherever I leave him there. So that is the setup there. Fishing line will be your friend with some of these displays. So the House of M Spidey here in this little jumping and kicking pose, that is just fishing line going around his neck and then to his foot, and that just lets me get that pose there. We got the classic Spider-Man 2099. I still remember where I found him too. I want to say it's out in Lapeer, Michigan at a Walgreens. I know that's where I found this Pizza Spidey. I was hunting for him. These are all back when they were originally on the shelf. 2015, I think. I just did a late night drive once to a Walgreens, probably about, at the time Lapeer was like an hour away from me. I was just bored. But Pizza Spidey hanging upside down from one of the web pieces, and then I have that actually just going up to a glob of poster tack, holding it in place, but that works. And then we got the white suit Spidey 2099 there, looking good. Cosmic Spidey in the back, also being held with fishing string. Nothing too fancy there. This one was probably one of my favorite ones with this Ben Reilly. I did the same thing that I did with Spider-Ham. He's got hot glue and a magnet on his hands, and then on the other side of that poster board is the magnets that basically are holding him in place. So he's completely suspended by magnets, and in fact, you can see on one of the hands there, the hot glue came off. He was dangling by one hand. So I just kind of propped it up. Right now his thumb is holding that, and it works. And we got Spidey UK. And then in the second shelf here we have the Ladies of the Spider-Verse. So that is where we're going to put Miss Carpenter, right there with the rest of her group. Boy, sorry about the focus freaking out. Keep needing to step back. So we're going to put Jessica Carpenter right there. But real quick, so there is a top shelf to this that I haven't done much with. I just have the black suited 2-pack Spidey, and then the newer symbiote Spidey that I need to do something with. Some Cloud poster board from Michaels, and then fishing line again for Prowler, Hobgoblin. I have some homemade webbing out of just some jewelry wire for the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Spidey. We got Beetle hanging out up there, and some more fishing string or fishing line. We have a Goblin just dangling by that. And then, of course, one last villain there flying high. And I will say, you can probably see the dust. I apologize for that. It is dusty. But let's go ahead and get the camera steady. We'll get Julia Carpenter set up here. You know, the more I started thinking about it, for this one I don't really need to steady the cam. I do have this gimbal, so we're just going to go ahead and sneak Julia in there. Oh, okay. She's not really wanting to go in there. It's actually kind of hard. I'm shooting with one hand on the gimbal and then trying to put her in her place. So hopefully this is in frame. And stand up. Hey, there we go. We got her standing up. So, very cool. Well, anyway, guys, that is going to do it for this video. If you like these videos, I try to add like intermittent collection videos as I'm adding figures to the collection. Kind of breaks it up instead of having one giant video showing everything off at once. Kind of piece it out throughout time. So if you like this sort of video, make sure to subscribe to see more like it. And of course, subscribe for more reviews as well. But aside from that, that is going to do it. So thanks for stopping by and watching my video, and have a great day.